The first female Nobel Prize winner once said, "One never notices what has been done, one can only see what remains to be done." These words reflect Marie Curie's approach to her work in a brand new frontier of scientific study. A pioneer and trailblazer in scientific frontiers, Curie paved the way for new disciplines and discoveries in science and broke social norms with the introduction of women to STEM. Marie Curie's efforts led her to become the first woman in history to win a Nobel Prize, as well as the first person to win two Nobel Prizes in different fields. Although Marie Curie faced various adversities throughout her life, she led the various frontiers in history, including the roles of women in STEM, research in atomic physics, and revolutionary medical practices. Marie Curie was born Maria Sklodowska on November 7th, 1867, in Warsaw, Poland. Marie was the youngest of five children born to two teachers, Bronislava and Vladislav Sklodowska. Marie Curie's mother was a secondary school teacher, while her father was a physics and mathematics professor. It was from here where Marie Curie received early training in math and physics. Marie Curie excelled in school and graduated as a top student from her secondary school. Despite this, however, she was denied admission to the University of Warsaw, a male only school. Marie Curie instead attended Floating University, an informal underground school where classes were held in secret to bypass Polish laws preventing women from receiving an education.
After completing her primary studies, Marie Curie and her sister both set their eyes on earning a degree from university, but they both lacked the funds necessary to complete their education. In wake of this situation, Marie and her sister came to an agreement. Marie would work to support her sister in her studies to become a nurse, and afterwards she would support Marie in her studies. During this time, Marie worked and continued to study physics and mathematics. After Marie's sister completed her studies, Marie left Warsaw and traveled to France to pursue an education at the prestigious Sorbonne University. Despite efforts to fund her studies, Curie continued to struggle with the financial burden of her education. Instead of giving up, Marie Curie worked two jobs as a mistress and a tutor, as she studied in France while only surviving off bread and tea alone. Despite her circumstances, Marie was able to persevere, and finally, in 1893, Marie Curie completed her degree in physics and would go on to complete a math degree a year later. In 1896, famous scientist Henry Becquerel was observing properties of uranium salt in an experiment to test whether uranium could emit X-rays. Becquerel ended the experiment early, concluding that the conditions wouldn't be appropriate. As a result, the uranium salts were stored in a drawer until March. When Becquerel opened the drawer again, he was left with the dumbfounding discovery. The uranium had emitted what he thought to be the newly discovered X-ray, seemingly out of nowhere. The following day, Becquerel reported his observation at the Academy of Sciences without a clear explanation as to where these rays came from. In 1898, Marie and Pierre Curie decided to look into this strange discovery. From this, the two discovered a new phenomenon and pioneered the term radiation. The Curies were able to measure the energy being emitted by the uranium and discover other elements that exhibited the special rays observed by Henry Becquerel. This work was revolutionary as it challenged the frontier of modern chemistry, going against the widely accepted atomic theory proposed by John Dalton. Up to this point, it was believed that atoms were the smallest, indivisible forms of matter, but Marie Curie was able to prove the opposite through the existence of radioactivity. The Curies were also able to prove the existence of this new discovery and elements besides uranium, specifically in the element rhodium. These discoveries revolutionized science as a whole and created the new discipline of atomic physics, as Marie proved the existence of subatomic particles and the decomposition of atoms with unstable nuclei through radioactivity. The Curies decided to take it a step further, this time turning their attention to two uranium ores, pitchblende and chalcocite, after noticing a magnitude of radiation higher than that of uranium. Marie Curie hypothesized that unknown ores were present in the minerals, giving them stronger radioactive properties. The Curies quickly worked to separate these ores in an attempt to find the origin of this radiation. From this experiment, Marie once again changed the frontier of chemistry by discovering the presence of polonium, and later on in December 1898, radium, two previously unknown radioactive elements. Although the Curies were not able to isolate polonium due to its short half-life of approximately 138 days, they were able to successfully isolate 1/10 of a gram of radium chloride, proving its existence to a skeptical scientific community. Marie received her doctorate of science in 1903 in a time when women were often not allowed to advance their education. Curie once again led a frontier of women in science by being the first woman to win the Davy Medal of the Royal Society, an honor given for her major contributions in chemistry, as well as being the first woman to receive a Nobel Prize for her pioneering research on radium with her husband and Henry Becquerel.
On April 19th, 1906, Pierre Curie sadly passed away after being killed by a horse-drawn wagon. His death deeply impacted Marie Curie as she not only lost her lab partner, but her husband and soulmate. As a result of Pierre's death, on May 13th, 1906, Marie Curie was chosen to assume Pierre's position as a professor at Sorbonne, which pushed the frontier of women's roles in academia, with Curie being the first woman to ever hold this position. Marie would go on to devote the rest of her life to advancing science and supporting her two daughters, Irene and Eve Curie. In 1910, Marie Curie would go on to publish her fundamental treatise on radioactivity, and in 1911, Marie Curie would become the sole winner of the 1911 Nobel Prize in Chemistry, making her the first person, man or woman, to earn two Nobel Prizes in different fields. This Nobel Prize win demonstrates that Marie Curie not only broke through the frontiers of women's roles, but also the frontiers of chemistry and physics. To this day, she is the only woman to win multiple Nobel Prizes, leading this frontier even in death. After World War I broke out in Europe, Marie and her daughter Irene worked together on developing life-saving mobile X-ray units nicknamed Little Curies. These units would become extremely valuable in the frontier of medicine as it would prove to be an asset imperative to the success of soldiers and physicians on the battlegrounds. Marie would spend the rest of her life exploring uses of radiation in medicine, specifically through the championing of cancer treatments which use her discovery of radiation to more effectively kill tumors while protecting healthy cells. Marie's contributions to medicine earned her a place on the French Academy of Medicine in 1922, leading the frontier of women in medicine by becoming the first woman in this prestigious position. On July 4th, 1934, Marie Curie would pass away due to aplastic anemia, likely due to her extensive work with radioactive substances. Her devotion to her research was so great that Curie's body had to be buried in a lead-covered coffin to prevent the emission of radiation due to her extensive time with radioactive substances, and her original lab papers had to be stored in lead-lined boxes due to harmful radiation which can last 1600 years. Marie had given her life to her research, starting the frontier for future generations of women to continue her research and making ways for new discoveries such as those of her daughter Irene Curie and her spouse Frederick Joliot's research, which became influential to the discovery of the electron. Marie's work earned her the honor of being the first woman to be buried in the Pantheon in 1995, alongside other important historical figures such as those of Jean-Jacques Rousseau and Voltaire. Marie Curie's efforts and contributions to science developed important frontiers in society. Marie Curie's work helped revolutionize and shape the thinking of future scientists. Marie Curie's radical idea of atomic decay challenged the widely accepted atomic theory, stating that atoms could not be torn apart by proving the existence of subatomic particles. This discovery served as a revelation to the world and gave way for new scientific discoveries. Her discovery of radioactivity directly contributed to the development of the atomic bomb, the harnessing of nuclear energy, radiation cancer treatments, carbon dating practices in archaeology, and portable X ray machines. Additionally, scientists such as Albert Einstein and Stephen Hawking continued to expand on her ideas of radiation and atomic decay, specifically in the field of astrophysics, where radiation has become a key principle.
Two other scientists who built on her pioneering work are Marie Curie's daughter and grandchild, who both became famous physicists, with Irene Curie, along her spouse, winning a Nobel Prize of her own for her contributions towards the frontier of science. Marie Curie held various First Woman titles, paving the way for the future generational frontiers of women in STEM, continuing to advance on her efforts. Marie Curie has directly saved countless lives as a result of her research, which shaped the frontier in modern medicine, especially in the field of cancer treatments and X ray examinations. It is safe to say that the world as we know it would not be the same without the scientific frontiers Marie Curie broke. As Curie herself said, we must have perseverance and above all confidence in ourselves. We must believe that we are gifted for something and that this thing must be attained.